What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including Roman Reigns cleared, the real reason why Samoa Joe was fired, major plans for Seth Rollins at Mania, Brock Lesnar refuses to work with a certain wrestler, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. And now let's hit the intro and get straight into our first story. Our first story looks at Roman Reigns being cleared. Now, topping today's news is fantastic news for Universal Champion Roman Reigns, as WWE has announced Roman Reigns has been medically cleared and is set to return at tomorrow's Friday Night SmackDown, which is tonight. The Universal Champion was unable to compete at WWE Day 1 after testing positive for COVID. And that's not only good news for Reigns, as it appears he's not as susceptible to COVID as previously thought. Dave Meltzer provided some information on Reigns' condition, i.e. his past two bouts with leukemia as it relates to the likelihood of becoming infected. One note regarding Reigns and testing positive is that the original fears regarding his past leukemia and COVID-19 is that it's believed that his high risks are no different from most people. This is likely why he agreed to return full-time. Meltzer laid out the details why, explaining that according to a COVID-19 resources update from the American Society of Hematology and Dr. Alex Patel, generally the immune system from CML leukemia, the strain Reigns has, is considered to be fairly normal. If he's got his 3 shots, he should be okay despite having CML leukemia, which is cancer twice. The nature of CML leukemia is that it doesn't affect the immune system as much, particularly because chemotherapy is no longer used to treat it except in the most dire situations. Gleevec, the medication predominantly used to combat the disease, doesn't compromise the immune system nor leave someone with a significantly higher risk. This is great news for Reigns, as he won't be missing much time from WWE. Tonight should be a huge night on SmackDown, as both Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman are scheduled to appear on the show, which makes a confrontation with the Tribal Chief seem very likely. With the WWE preparing for the Royal Rumble, the McMahon Wrestling podcast Andrew Zarian reported that WWE will return to Saudi Arabia on 19th February, and you can be sure some big things are on the horizon. Next up, WWE's major Mania plans for Seth Rollins. Now, what is next for Seth Rollins now that he came up short at Day 1's WWE Championship match? Rumor has it that Seth Rollins was supposed to win the belt until Brock Lesnar was added to the Fatal 4-Way match, and while the rumors haven't been confirmed, there is talk that WWE still has major plans for Seth Rollins. Meltzer discussed the situation in this week's Observer, saying, because there are 2 nights of WrestleMania, they need a WWE title match to headline the other show. The plan for that was originally Seth Rollins, likely against the winner of the Royal Rumble, with Big E the favourite, but Kevin Owens and Bobby Lashley were also possibilities. The match in that position may remain the same, but getting there is different. The crux of Meltzer's argument is that the WWE wants a major main event for both nights of Mania, and while a title versus title match between Lesnar and Reigns would be huge, it would mean the World Championships would be defended on both nights, leaving a potential gap. Although it's certainly possible for the WWE to bring in another main event, possibly with a WWE legend returning or a celebrity competing in the ring. If Rollins is going to main event WrestleMania, there's growing speculation that Lesnar will lose the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble or the WWE's rumored February event in Saudi Arabia. However, will Lesnar lose to Bobby Lashley, Seth Rollins, or somebody else? Do you think they should keep the belt on Brock Lesnar and set things up for a dream title versus title match at Mania? If not, who should defeat the Beast for the belt? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, the real reason why Samoa Joe was fired. Samoa Joe was one of the many NXT performers and personnel released this week, but why would WWE release the Samoan submission machine so quickly after it just rehired him? Well, this is what Wrestling Inc. had to say. At first, it seems the news of Joe's release was one of the WWE's worst kept secrets, as word is that talent at the WWE Performance Center actually learned of Joe leaving the company on Wednesday. Wrestling News' Mark Middleton seems to agree with the consensus that Joe was just the latest member of Triple H's cadre of NXT workers who were released because of their close ties with Triple H's version of NXT. There's a feeling among people in WWE that Joe was released as part of the further dismantling of the 2013 to 2021 vision of NXT and what Triple H had built. This is in line with veteran employees who were released on Wednesday who were part of the Triple H era, such as William Regal. The WWE's desire to purge the Triple H regime seems like something from the former Soviet Union, as the WWE has taken out every member of Helmsley's team, both in the ring and backstage. As we detailed in our video on the release of Gabe Sapolsky and Samoa Joe, there's concern among some fans that Shawn Michaels might be the next to go. If so, it could lead to some serious heat between Triple H and Vince McMahon, not to mention Nick Khan. As we discussed in our video about Joe's release, there is a sense of anger backstage over releases, particularly those of long-tenured workers like William Regal, as well as a perception that Nick Khan is turning the WWE into his company. Now, it remains to be seen if any backstage anger will lead to any problems backstage, but considering Khan's ongoing replacement of WWE staff with his own people, it could soon be a moot point. Now, on a brighter note, there's talk that Samoa Joe will continue his in-ring career once his non-compete clause expires. Joe noted in his farewell tweet that he's looking forward to his future. The biggest issue with Samoa Joe is whether he can stay injury-free, as he was plagued by injuries during the tail end of his WWE career, including concussions. Next up, WWE Gives Up. A fan shouldn't expect to see Becky Lynch using her previous nickname The Man anymore, as it appears that WWE's fight to secure the rights to the name is over. Meltzer is reporting on this week's Observer that evidently the reason Lynch is now Big Time Bex and not The Man is that WWE gave up in the legal fight over the term with Ric Flair. Flair noted on his show that he is no longer The Man because he owns the rights to the name in pro wrestling. Next up, a WWE Hall of Fame reunion in AEW. The WWE's releases have opened the door for a number of wrestlers to make their way to AEW, assuming of course that AEW president Tony Khan decides to sign them, including the reunion of a legendary tag team from the Attitude Era. As you know, the WWE recently released Brian James, aka the Road Dogg, a move which led to a Twitter user tweeting, "Hey Brian James, will we see you join Billy Gunn as a producer for AEW?" And James, whose Twitter handle is now Brian G. James, replied, "This light bill ain't gonna pay itself." The 2019 WWE Hall of Famer might find work in AEW, but it's unknown just how much AEW wants to expand its current setup for training wrestlers. Now, we discussed how some wrestling pundits have suggested the promotion establish a training facility similar to the WWE's Performance Center, but Meltzer doesn't think that's going to happen. He noted, when it comes to training, it has QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes' schools as affiliates. As Meltzer and others have noted, William Regal would be a tremendous asset for training wrestlers, but again, is AEW willing to change its current structure for changing wrestlers? Next up, a Rey Fenix injury update. Rey Fenix took a sick bump during his unsuccessful AEW World Tag Team title defense against Jurassic Express, with initial reports hinting that Rey suffered a broken arm. However, it appears that Fenix suffered a dislocation. We should have news on the diagnosis and recovery time soon. In the meantime, Fenix messaged the fans to thank them for their support. Here's a quick excerpt. "I want to thank each and every one of you for so much love, for your prayers, good vibes, for your messages. Thank you very much for being concerned about me. I feel very blessed to have all of you. Fans, colleagues, my friends and family, thank you very much." Now, Fenix didn't play the blame game either, acknowledging what happened last night is one of the many risks that we wrestlers take before getting into a ring and doing what we love so much. There's no fault, it is wrestling and these are the risks. And finally, Brock refused to work with a WWE wrestler. Last but not least, you're probably aware that Brock Lesnar has serious juice backstage when it comes to who he wrestles, but did you know that the Beast refused to work with a WWE champion? In 2017, Brock, who was Universal Champion at the time, was scheduled to wrestle the WWE Champion in a non-title match, Survivor Series. But according to Dave Meltzer, Lesnar didn't want to wrestle the then champion, leading to an abrupt change of the plans. In that case, WWE taking the championship off Jinder Mahal and having AJ Styles defeat him at a UK live event. Now, unfortunately, Meltzer didn't provide any explanation for Brock's refusal to wrestle Mahal. While this is speculation, it's possible that Lesnar felt Mahal wasn't a big enough name for a Survivor Series match in light of many fans' shock that Mahal, who was not too long before a mid-carder, not only won the championship, but held it for nearly 6 months. The WWE's decision to have Styles defeat Mahal led to a historic night, as Styles' win was the first time a WWE Championship had changed hands outside of North America. It also cancelled the plans for Mahal to defend the strap during the WWE's Tour of India. Why do you think Brock Lesnar refused to work with Mahal? Let us know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.